Well, good morning. We're going to get started this morning with an invocation led by Councilman Dr. Lee Cooper Jr., pastor of Prospect Church, OKC, and that will be followed by the Pledge of Allegiance led by Avery Hauk, representing Girl Scout Troop 2717. Please stand as you are able.
Let us pray. Eternal God, our Father, we do come before your presence today, knowing, God, that you're here with us. Help us to recognize our total dependence upon you. Teach us to walk humbly, love justice, show mercy in all of our conversations and deliberations today. May we forever be mindful that we are our brothers and sisters' keepers. And every action that we take today will either help or harm our city to move forward. Help our mayor, help our city manager, help our council members to be the catalyst for propelling our city forward as a city of light and hope. We pray your blessings today. God, may you give us strength and wisdom as we go through this day and always. Bless the city of Oklahoma City, the state of Oklahoma, these United States. In the name of the Almighty, we pray. Amen.
Attention, salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, thank you, Pastor Cooper, and thank you, Avery. I want to also thank Lauren Lee, who is the guitarist who performed for us this morning before the meeting. Yes. Lauren joined us courtesy the Art Moves program from the Arts Council of Oklahoma City. Well, I call this meeting of our council to order, and we're going to get started with some presentations from the Office of the Mayor, item 3, and I will make my way to the front for what will be a fairly robust program of presentations. Why don't we start with our friends from Litter Blitz. Always a highlight of the year. I think the only time we have costumed characters. All right, so April coming up is Litter Blitz. This is a pretty, this is more than symbolic. This is a pretty important time every year for our city because we fill through this program, I don't know, Natalie, Lauren, thousands of bags of garbage. I mean, so imagine if we didn't, it would still be there in our public right-of-ways. So it's a pretty important program and it makes a real difference in our city, and we'd like to learn a little bit more about it, and so I would ask the clerk to read this proclamation.
Whereas litter poses a threat to the safety, appearance, and economic vitality of Oklahoma City, and whereas litter abatement programs reduce costs to taxpayers and create cleaner, safer community spaces, and whereas Oklahoma City Beautiful is working in partnership with the City of Oklahoma City to present Litter Blitz 2026, a community effort to beautify neighborhoods, roadsides, and parks across the city. And whereas participants will receive free supply kits to support their cleanup efforts. And whereas nearly 4,500 volunteers participated in last year's Litter Blitz, collecting over 100,000 pounds of litter from community spaces across Oklahoma City. Now therefore, I, David Holt, Mayor of the City of Oklahoma City, do hereby proclaim April 2026 as Litter Blitz 2026 in Oklahoma City.
Thank you. Well, this has been going on for decades. It's been a long-time partnership between the mayor's office and Oklahoma City Beautiful, and of course, Oklahoma City Beautiful does all the work. And to hear a little bit more from the person who certainly leads the charge, Lauren Nixon from Oklahoma City Beautiful, the floor is yours.
Hi, thank you guys so much for being here. My name is Lauren Nixon. I'm the program coordinator for OKC Beautiful, and I'm accompanied by our wonderful team. We have Mother Earth and Terrence with us. Terrence D. Earth is his full name. But it really takes a community effort to help keep our earth clean, and it starts with our community. So last year, we picked up over 100,000 pounds of litter with all of our volunteers. Between the whole year, we have anywhere between 4,000 and 5,000 volunteers in our Litter Blitz program alone. So it really does take a community, and we'd love to have each and every one of you guys sign up. You can visit our website at okcbeautiful.com/litterblitz if you want to get involved yourself.
All right, well, thank you. Let's hear it for our friends from Litter Blitz. Lauren, that's yours to keep. Thank you. All right, how about our friends here for Fair Housing Month? Come forward. Got some folks here from Oklahoma City Realtors. So April is going to be Fair Housing Month, and to learn a little bit more about this, I would ask the clerk to read this proclamation.
Whereas the Fair Housing Act, enacted on April 11, 1968, is a federal law dedicated to eliminating racial segregation and housing discrimination in the United States. And whereas this legislation prohibits discrimination in the sale, rental, and financing of housing based on race, color, religion, sex, national origin, familial status, or disability. And whereas the City of Oklahoma City is committed to upholding the Fair Housing Act's mission, ensuring that all individuals have access to fair and equal housing opportunities. And whereas the City of Oklahoma City actively supports and fosters diverse housing solutions that meet community needs with a focus on those most in need of stable housing. And whereas diverse and inclusive communities produce stronger social, economic, and environmental outcomes for all residents. And whereas the work of fair housing remains ongoing as barriers and inequities in housing opportunity persist in communities across the country. And whereas the City of Oklahoma City reaffirms that housing discrimination in any form is inconsistent with our community's values of fairness, dignity, and equal opportunity for all. Now therefore, I, David Holt, Mayor of the City of Oklahoma City, do hereby proclaim the month of April 2026 as Fair Housing Month in Oklahoma City, and encourage all residents, businesses, public and private entities to recommit to the principles of equal housing opportunity for every person in our community.
Thank you. Well, we're joined here this morning by some realtors. I always find here at City Hall that whenever there's good stuff happening, the realtors are not far away, and we appreciate that. So we are going to hear a few words now from Corden Deacock, who heads up government affairs for the Oklahoma City Realtors. Corden, the floor is yours.
Mayor, council members, everybody here, thank you for this recognition of April as Fair Housing Month and this commemoration of the passage of the Fair Housing Act. Housing is the backbone of our community, its resilience, and the financial well-being of our residents. And so we as realtors recognize that and are committed to the obligations of the Fair Housing Act and our responsibility to the clients across our community that we serve. Again, we appreciate Oklahoma City's commitment to that as we all strive to help everyone find a place to call home free from discrimination.
All right, thank you. Let's hear it for our realtors and everybody working for fair housing. There you go. Okay, how about Festival of the Arts? I don't know what you're all thinking. You're thinking, wait a second, it's not even April yet. Why are we talking about the Festival of the Arts? Well, it is the 60th anniversary of the Festival of the Arts. And so we're going a little above and beyond this year. We're going to be declaring the entire month of April as Festival of the Arts Month. And I want to be clear, that does not mean the Festival of the Arts is the entire month of April. It is the same time as normal, but we will be celebrating it the entire month. And so to learn a little bit more about that, I would ask the clerk to read this proclamation.
Whereas the 60th Annual Festival of the Arts, produced by Arts Council Oklahoma City, will officially open on Thursday, April 23rd, 2026, offering 4 days of exciting visual, culinary, and performing arts activities. And whereas Festival of the Arts is widely regarded as Oklahoma City's annual rite of spring and reflects Arts Council Oklahoma City's mission to bring the arts and the community together. And whereas Festival of the Arts is nationally recognized as one of the most superb fine arts festivals in America, featuring more than 160 visual artists, more than 100 live performances, delicious food from 33 vendors, and activities for all ages. And whereas the 2026 Festival of the Arts co-chairs, Sarah Frank and Richard Forshee, lead a team of more than 30 committees and 2,500 volunteers who generously donate their time, talents, and resources to produce this celebrated event. And whereas Arts Council Oklahoma City continues its commitment to sustainability by utilizing recyclable and compostable materials and promoting eco-conscious practices. And whereas for 60 years, Arts Council Oklahoma City has brought the arts and the community together through inclusive and innovative art events and programs. Now therefore, I, David Holt, Mayor of the City of Oklahoma City, do hereby proclaim the month of April 2026 as Festival of the Arts Month in Oklahoma City.
Thank you. And to hear a little bit more about this, we have today the co-chairs, Sarah Frank and Richard Forshee, and we'd love to hear from you. So the floor is yours.
Thank you so much. It's always an honor to be in these chambers with all these people here today. We appreciate it. Richard and I are so thrilled to be celebrating the 60th anniversary. Established in 1967, the Festival of the Arts is known throughout our community. We have been working over the last year. We have, as we heard, 30 different committees and have got volunteers that have answered our call, and they continue to answer our call. We will be celebrating over the next 30 days and getting ready for our 4 days in April, and we're just thrilled to do that, as always with the support of the city.
Thank you. Our hardworking staff over here and our hundreds of volunteers have been working hard to prepare a wonderful festival for the 60th anniversary. Just to give you a few quick facts, we will have 144 plaza artists, and those artists come from 30 different states. 85 of those artists will be here for the first time, so that gives a pretty nice mix of the new and the people who have been there before, who are very popular. We will have more than 100 performing artists that'll be appearing on 2 different stages, including an appearance by our Oklahoma City Ballet. We will have more than 30 food vendors. I think the number is 33 now. And 3 of those will be brand new for the first time. And just to close it off, we have a program called Emerging Artists. And we're in the 3rd year of that program. The Emerging Artist Program brings together new artists, or people who are striving to be new artists, in a 2-year mentorship program. So as I said, we're in the 3rd year now, and we are fortunate to say that we have 2 of our former emerging artists who have juried in this year and will be a part of our Plaza Artists. So we're real proud of that. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's hear it for everybody who makes the Festival of the Arts happen. All right, Jacob Chin, why don't you come on down? Jacob is our teacher of the month, and we'd like to learn a little bit more about you, and so I would ask the clerk to read this resolution.
Whereas Jacob Chin has been named Teacher of the Month for March 2026 by Mustang Public Schools and Rotary Club of Oklahoma City. And whereas Jacob received his bachelor's degree in instrumental music education from the University of Oklahoma and has been in education for 8 years, all in Mustang. And whereas Jacob teaches music at Sunset Hill Elementary School and was named 2025 Mustang District Teacher of the Year. And whereas Jacob is a CODI Level 3 certified educator and participates in the annual choral festival, Circle the State with Song. And whereas Jacob is passionate about teaching music and aspires for his students to develop a firm, fundamental foundation in the arts while connecting with each other through song, folk dance, performance, and community. He is also a musician and composer who has recorded 2 albums. And whereas Jacob accomplishes all of this with the love and support of his family. Now therefore be it resolved by the mayor and council of the city of Oklahoma City that they do hereby recognize and commend Jacob Chin on his selection as the March 2026 Teacher of the Month by Mustang Public Schools and Rotary Club of Oklahoma City.
Well, thank you. Now, this is a resolution, Jacob, so we're actually going to vote on this. So I hope everyone was persuaded by what the clerk just read. So let's see if we can get a motion in a second. Yeah, nothing's showing up here, but we have a motion in a second? All right, I wish to vote aye. You'll just have to tell me when it passes. Is it passed? Okay. Yeah, there's nothing up here. All right, I'm going to take their word for it that it passed, Jacob. Congratulations. All right, yes, let's hear it for Well, Jacob, we're very grateful for the service you provide our young people, and we especially understand how important the arts and music is. We've sort of celebrated that to some extent this morning in the education of our children. So we're grateful that you bring that to our kids, and it's such a high level, so thank you. We would love to hear a few words from you, if that's okay. The floor is yours, or you could perform. I see you. Your choice.
So I grew up playing a lot of different instruments and eventually went to OU and was in the Private Oklahoma for 5 years, Boomer Sooner. And I just absolutely loved all the awesome connections I made through all the various ensembles. And I actually didn't know that I wanted to be an educator until really the last 2 years of being at OU. I was a chemical biosciences major, and I switched over to music education because I didn't realize how much I valued community through music. And eventually I found folk dancing after college, and that's kind of like my second passion. So I strive to be a model to really tie communities together through music. And so I feel so grateful that I can do that with young children. So there you go.
Thank you. Well, let's hear it for Jacob. Thank you so much. Thank you. And finally, our Heart of the City folks, which I think is pretty much the rest of the room. Come on down. For those who don't know, the Heart of the City campaign is when our city employees, over the course of several months, raise money for charitable causes here in Oklahoma City. And you're going to hear a little bit more about that, but I just think it's just amazing the amount of money that our city employees raise. There are obviously a lot of workforce campaigns across the city during the United Way annual campaign, but this is the single largest, right? Single largest campaign in the whole city. And record-breaking for us, but bigger than everybody else's. I just want to say, as an employer, there are a lot of large employers in Oklahoma City who also engage in workplace campaigns, but none raise more money than the city of Oklahoma City. And that's just really, really cool because the employees who go to work for the city are already public servants. They're already serving This is obviously not a for-profit enterprise. This is a group of 5,000 people who are already dedicating their lives to this community, and then they go above and beyond in this campaign every year. So we thought it was most appropriate to honor that today, and we'd like to hear a little bit more about it, and so I would ask the clerk to read this resolution.
Whereas the City of Oklahoma City's Heart of the City campaign is an annual tradition that brings employees together to support their neighbors through workplace charitable giving. And whereas the 2025 Heart of the City campaign resulted in a record-breaking pledge of $613,312 by City of Oklahoma City employees, which is the most ever raised in the campaign's history. And whereas 2,501 employees contributed to the campaign with an average donation of $245, and departments further demonstrated their community spirit through fundraisers including bake sales, raffles, silent auctions, and lunchtime rallies. And whereas funds designated through the Heart of the City campaign support local charities that have met the criteria set forth by the City of Oklahoma City, including United Way of Central Oklahoma, the Regional Food Bank of Oklahoma, Allied Arts, and community health charities, organizations that collectively represent hundreds of nonprofits providing food, housing, healthcare, arts, and educational programs to Oklahoma City residents. And whereas the generosity and compassion of Oklahoma City employees reflect the heart of public service and deep pride in this community. Now therefore be it resolved by the Mayor and Council of the City of Oklahoma City that they do hereby extend their sincere gratitude and commendation to city employees, loaned executives, department coordinators, and the nonprofit partners for their generosity, dedication, and hard work in making the annual Heart of the City campaign a success.
All right, well, thank you. Now, this is a resolution as well, so let's see if we can get a motion in a second. This is working now. Very good. We have a motion and a second. Cast your votes. I wish to vote aye. Very good. Passes unanimously. Now, what you see up here are city employees as well as representatives from the United Way, the Regional Food Bank, Allied Arts, and community health charities. And we would love to hear a little bit from LaShawn Thompson, who is Assistant City Manager, but headed up the campaign this year. LaShawn, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you to Council for approving the resolution. The energy is in this room. This campaign would not have been successful without all the members of the Heart of the City coordinators, our federations. We have Ryan Lemons with the Regional Food Bank. We have Sunny Seeley with Allied Arts, and we have Rachel Holt with the United Way. And Michelle wasn't able to be here, and she represents Abilities Connection. All of our partners in the room made this possible. Our city employees, they dug in. We went west. We went west of our goal, way west, like Mayor said, record breaking. But none of this would be possible without this lady right here, Miss Barbara Rivera's. And so I'm going to allow Barbara to say a few words. She doesn't want to say anything, but Barbara, this would not be successful if it wasn't for your leadership.
Good morning, and thank you. The resolution said it all. You said it all. Council, thank you so much. We are public servants. We have that in our hearts, and through the efforts that you all made, we earn our living serving the city of Oklahoma City, but our heart truly is committed to the city of Oklahoma City. Sponsoring fundraising for all the nonprofit organizations that help lift our community members. So thank you, each one of you, for all the hard work that you did. You did it while doing your regular job. That's incredible, a record-breaking year. And I hope each one of you signs up again for this coming year. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Let's hear it for Barbara, LaShawn, the whole team up here, everybody who made it possible. And Sonny Kearley brought the cowboy hats. I don't really have any explanation for why, but leave it to Allied Arts to bring some artistic flair to the costumes, to the morning's events. Thank you all so very much. Yeah, it's yours to keep, and we are so grateful for you. Let's hear it one more time. Thank you. All right, we are finally done with the Office of the Mayor, and we can now move on to item 4, items from council. And we have item 4A, which is a resolution approving travel expenses for Councilman Pennington to attend the Greater Oklahoma City Chambers fly-in in Washington, April 14th through the 16th. We could take a motion on that. We have a motion and a second. Cast your votes. Passes 7-1, and with the necessary 6 affirmative votes for approval. Next up, item 5, City Manager reports. Mr. City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor. There's a couple of reports on today. We don't have any scheduled formal presentations. The second quarter report from CVB is on here, and so if there are any questions, get those to staff. We'll be glad to get responses for those. March sales and use tax, I alluded to it at the last meeting, but sales tax is flat, like it's basically where it was last year, which for us really isn't a good thing because it means it's challenging for us to keep up with growth and costs that we have. Overall for the year, we're at 2% growth. Use tax was down 6.5%, or about 6%. And we just continue this period where we'll see a good month and then we see it be flat or be negative. So we're just continuing that. We are still above target for the year, which is still positive, and so we'll continue monitoring that, but we're running right about 2% growth on sales tax for the year. So continue to monitor and report on that to the council as we get ready to bring the budget forward in the next month or so. That's all that I have, Mayor.
All right, thank you. I look forward to seeing the Nebraska effect in our sales tax check here in about a month or so. All right, item 6, Journal of Council Proceedings. We have items A and B. We could take with one motion. We have a motion and a second. Cast your votes. Passes unanimously. Item 7, requests for uncontested continuances. Mr. City Manager.
Yes, on page 13, I just have a couple today. On page 13, items 11, A and B, we're going to defer those items to the 21st of April for 4 weeks, and that's all that I have.
Okay. Next up is item 8, revocable permits and events. Item 8A is a revocable permit with Taylor Racing Operations for the Lost Lakes Enduro, April 11th through the 12th, near 4899 North Air Depot. And we have Mike Lorenz here to speak on it.
Just here for any questions, and then also to give you an update on the March 1st race that we had. It was one of the largest races in the state of Oklahoma in possibly ever. We had almost 700 racers, which is significantly more than what we've had in the last few years. Everybody loved it. It was pretty much an entire new course, and we'll be using part of it along with our the trails that we've already created for our November event in the last couple of years for this April 12th race. Be super excited. This one we're partnering not only with the same multi-state series as last year, but we are also partnering with the Texas Enduro Circuit for this one. So looking to bring some guys up from North Texas as well.
All right, thank you. Councilman Pennington.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm very excited for the event to continue. Great to hear that the March event was so successful. So looking forward to even more people being there. So with that, I'll move approval.
Thank you.
right, we have a motion and a second. Cast your votes. Passes unanimously. Item 8B is a revocable right-of-way use permit with the Friends of Uptown Foundation to hold Cruisin' 23rd, a Route 66 Centennial celebration on April 11th on Walker between 23rd and 24th. And we have Juliana Lopez and Maddie Hendricks here to speak on this event.
Hi, everyone. I'm Juliana. I'm the district manager for Uptown 23rd.
Hi, my name is Maddie Hendricks. I am representing Class 20 for the current Loyal Class through Leadership Oklahoma City.
And we are collaborating on Cruisin' 23rd. Uptown 23rd sits on the original route of Route 66, and we're really excited to celebrate that this year with this kickoff celebration that the lab group has helped us develop. It is a block party style. We love our block parties on Uptown, and we are very much taking advantage of the fact that 23rd is getting our streetscape, that we are doing this actually on Walker between 23rd and 24th. So we're changing up the footprint of our events that we're doing just to make the best of our streetscape happening, and we invite you all to join us on the 11th. And then I'll let Maddie tell a little bit about what their lab group has been doing.
Yes, so we have been working with vendors. So we will have an artist vendor market, some food vendors on the street. I am most excited about our classic cars that we will have. So we'll have some very fun old classic Fords, Chevys, whatever classic cars you want. But we are excited just to have a fun event for the city, for our citizens to come out and celebrate Route 66 and kick off the Centennial.
That's it.
All right, thank you. Councilman Cooper?
Hi.
Hello.
So good to see you both. Thanks for doing this event, and I would just use this opportunity to say to the public, places like Pizzeria Gusto and Big Truck are open for business right now. Everything from Broadway to Western, where that streetscape you've heard from Juliana. It's important right now as we're doing the next almost 18 months worth of work that this is a chance to support our local businesses, right? So just wanted to say that in public, and I'll say that till the end, and just wanted to say thanks for your stewardship, thanks for this event, and I'll move for approval.
We have a motion and a second. Cast your votes. Passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Item 8C is a revocable right-of-way use permit with the OU Health Stevenson Cancer Center to hold the Outpace Cancer Race on April 18th on Northeast 10th. And we have Emily Allison here.
Sorry, I'm working slow this morning. Good morning. I'm Emily Allison. I'm the race director for the Outpace Cancer Race. This is a fundraising event done in partnership with the OU Foundation as well as the Stevenson Cancer Center. It raises funds for patient assistance, so for those that either need gas cards, groceries, whatever's preventing them from coming and getting treatment at Stevenson, as well as the research and clinical trials that are happening there. Stevenson is the only NCI-designated cancer center in the state of Oklahoma, so it's really important that we continue to support and broadcast the great work they're doing there. Our race takes place on the OU Health Campus area, also formerly known as the Health Science Campus, with kind of that 10th Stonewall area. It's going to be a 10K, a 5K, and a walk. We'll have food trucks, which are open to the public, as well as some other great outreach booths at our bash. You can sign up to register until race moment and sign up to volunteer. So lots of ways to get involved. Any questions?
Thank you. Councilman Pennington?
Thank you, Mayor. We all know that so many people in our community are impacted by cancer, and so this opportunity to raise money for research and to support patients who are in need is just absolutely critical. Even more excited that it's in my own neighborhood, so I'm happy to move approval.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Cast your votes. Passes unanimously.
Thank you, guys.
Finally, 8D, a revocable right-of-way use permit with the Southwest 29th District Association to hold Festival Dia del Niño on April 12th on Southwest 29th. And we have Marissa Mendietz here.
Yeah. Good morning. My name is Marissa Mendieta, and I'm representing Southwest 29th District. We will be holding on April 12th Festival Dia del Niño. We're going to be focused mainly on fun family activities, primarily on children. We're going to have junior reporters learning how they can register to learn how to interview individuals. And so much more. We'll have an area directly for the children. We're hoping to close off planning to close off the section of Western to Chartel, where we'll have about 70 tents and about 68 food trucks where families can enjoy that, plus the children's area. Do you have any questions?
No, Councilwoman Hammond?
No questions, but very glad to see the festival returning. I know it's always a big turnout, very lovely celebration, and we'll cross our fingers for really great weather. So I'm happy to move for approval.
Thank you so much.
We have a motion and a second. Cast your votes. Passes unanimously. All right, we'll recess the council meeting, convene as the Oklahoma City Municipal Facilities Authority, where we have items A through H we can take with one motion. We have a motion and a second. Cast your votes. Passes unanimously. We'll adjourn OCMFA and convene as the Oklahoma City Public Property Authority, where we have items A through F we could take with one motion. Got a motion and a second. Cast your votes. Passes unanimously. We'll adjourn OCPPA and reconvene as the council, where we're on item 9, the consent docket. The only item scheduled for a presentation is item BI. Is there anything else on the consent docket that a council member wishes to pull out for a separate vote, question, comment?
Yes, I'd like to hear a little bit more about item AV, V as in Victor.
Okay.
Mayor, if we could hear a little more information on item AK. I'd appreciate that.
AK, all right.
AK.
Okay. If there's nothing else, we can take them in order, which means I believe we'll start there at AK. Councilman Stone?
Good morning, Joanna McSpadden, Finance Department. This is a cost increase for the Married Gardens chilled water project. The new air handling units that were installed required a 6-inch pipe rather than an 8-inch pipe. They also required a different layout for stringing the pipe around the units, which required additional length. So this is an increase to the length of the pipe and also a new layout that requires additional labor. So.
And do we know when we expect it to be completed?
Hi, Debbie Miller, Public Works. This should be the final. We're pretty close to being complete, so it should be done this spring.
Okay.
Up and
The
running.
air handling units are all installed, correct?
Yes, they're all installed. So once the piping's done, we'll be able to get the system in place and get it turned on.
Okay. It'll be done this spring, right?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, next up is item AV. Councilwoman Hammond?
Yes, I just wanted to hear a little bit more about specifically what this contract sort of amendment or extension would cover, kind of what services 21CP would be providing, and just hear a little more about kind of what's next in this process.
The contract represents, good morning, Council, Mayor, and City Manager. Andrea Grayson, Public Safety Partnership Implementation Manager. The continuation of this contract represents the continued implementation of the recommendations. We've currently implemented 23 recommendations. There are 39 recommendations, so we still have some ways to go. So this just represents a continued partnership and consultation with 21CP as our subject matter expert.
And Ganesha Martin was with us all the way through the process, was one of our, and she's the consultant that's continued to be there with us, and so she meets with the steering committee regularly. She and Andrea are regular contact. She has a lot of experience with this, now working in Minneapolis, and so it's continuing our agreement and contract with her to provide advisory services as we're implementing. Thanks, Andrea.
Thank you.
All right, that brings us to item BI. Mr. City Manager, you had a presentation?
Yes, Kenny Soodle with the Alliance for Economic Development will give us an update on this amendment to the TIP plan.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Kenny Soodle with the Alliance. Today we have introduced and set for final hearing on April 7th. It's an amendment to the Coeur d'Alene TIF district. So just to give you some background on what's happening here, the original Coeur d'Alene plan, if you recall, was adopted in 2016. So a few things have changed since then. There were several increment districts set up at that time. We have only actually activated one of those. And so I'm going to go through, there's just several things that need to change, both in the objectives in the plan, obviously the budget, and then we're going to go through what the proposed increment district changes are. There's also a provision here that we would be adding that would allow the Economic Development Trust to approve minor amendments, which, as a reminder, this is in a lot of our other TIF plans. For whatever reason, we didn't get this in when we originally created this, but it's where it doesn't change the purpose of the plan, and it doesn't change more than 5% of the increment districts or the public costs of the plan. The Economic Development Trust could approve those amendments, and that's a cumulative effect of all changes. So very quickly, I'll start with the objectives. One is this adds a housing focus as well. So and these other focus continue to be in there. Previously, it was office, hotel, and retail was what the stated focus. And obviously, with a lot of the downtown housing we're trying to make happen, we're adding that in as one of the objectives. It was also previously focused on, it's stated in the plan, if you read it, about the redevelopment of the Cox Convention Center. So obviously has changed, and so this is where it's talking about supporting redevelopment around the new Oklahoma City Arena and the multipurpose stadium. Also adds a focus in there about encouraging the development of underutilized commercial parcels, but all other objectives stay the same. I do also want to point out too, this one, previously in the downtown TIF and also in this TIF, we had this concept of direct versus indirect, where we have, if something is not, it just develops organically and we're not incentivizing it, 75% of that increment still goes back to the taxing jurisdictions, to the county, the libraries, the schools. That continues here. It was a 50-50 split in the downtown TIF. This TIF is actually a 75-25. So if a direct property is something, if we're incentivizing it directly with TIF incentives, then 100% of that increment goes into the TIF funds. But just wanted to point that out, that was a very intentional thing to try to make sure we continue to share a lot of the organic growth with our taxing jurisdiction partners. So the budget has to be updated, and really, I'll cover this on the next couple slides of why, but there's some additional increment areas being proposed. And again, I think the majority of that is from some of the additions we're making of this budget, going from 528, from 395 to 528 million. But also part of that's just us updating, estimates. As a reminder, this is just a budget. These dollars don't necessarily exist. This is what we have to make an estimate of what we think all of these increment districts would generate over a 25-year period. And so we break it out both by the districts and we break it out by these budget categories, so you can kind of see the majority of that's in the assistance in development financing, but we also, added some budget to the other public improvements and the other taxing jurisdiction budgets. Okay, so here's really the meat of the change. So previously we had 7 increment areas, so we're redrawing a few of them, slicing some of them up, adding a couple of other small ones, and basically going from 7 to 10. And I want to go through kind of the most major ones. So I'll start with kind of what we talked about, the arenas. On the left, you see previously the former Cox Convention Center. That was its own increment district. Well, obviously that's going to be a publicly owned facility now. So we really needed to take that out and move that south onto the current Paycom site. In addition, some of the vacant properties that were to the west of that were in the current TIF 13, which was part of the Omni TIF that had been activated. We wanted to draw those in, amend that current one and draw those in with the thought that probably those developments are more closely related in timing. Also on the multi-purpose stadium area and the producers co-op area, you'll notice there's a section that has been cut out or drawn out. That's the actual publicly owned stadium site. So those were some of the changes we need to make around the stadiums and the stadium and the arena. On the North Shore, if you look at kind of the lower Scissortail Park, we're proposing to really carve a piece of that out that is now on the right side would be D and I, and really that's where we've seen on kind of the west side of the lower Scissortail Park, it's really been developing with a lot of single family type of housing. And we wanted to really split that because to the east of the park, kind of the east of Robinson, that area is probably an area that will be more prone to more multifamily type of development. So again, wanting to kind of separate those, allow them to be able to develop at a different pace. H is the biggest change. So this is something we've been working on for quite a while with kind of the Capitol Hill area and some of our folks down there. So this would really draw from the park down to 30th Street, from Walker to Shields to create an increment area there. This has always been in the project area, but has never had an increment area. So this will allow projects in that area, around Walker, 25th, Robinson, 29th, Shields, to actually have this tool available to help encourage development. And then finally, and it's hard to see, way at the top, there's 4 little tiny pink or rose-colored dots that are increment area J. These are some specific properties that are related to office conversions to residential. So these are the Robinson Renaissance, the Cotton Exchange building, the Hightower building, and then the Pulse that was the old Holiday Inn that has been redeveloped. It's the back side of that's the vacant parcel. Those are all planned developments to do, continue those conversions to housing, and we're proposing those were all in the current downtown TIF, so they're properties that have very low value, have not developed, and the proposal will be to remove those from, they've already been removed. I think this afternoon we'll be working on that to remove those from the downtown TIF, but this, if approved, would add these into the Core to Shore TIF to give those the opportunity to develop as well. So those are the major changes. Happy to answer any questions. Your project plan that's in the packet has a whole lot of exhibits and things that have to change with that, but that's really the meat of what's changing there. So happy to take any questions.
What is, I saw where you added housing. Is housing an added component of A through J?
It really would apply to any of the increment districts so on the proposed map on the right side of the screen. And it didn't preclude housing before, but it wasn't a stated objective. And we thought, really as we look at this and 10 years later, there's really a lot of these areas, housing is going to be a big component of it. So we wanted to make sure that that's in there and it's called out.
And in that, which I appreciate, in that calling out, are we at a place where we're talking about any particular percents of the area median income, or?
No, we really stayed pretty generic because we don't know how things are going to develop. It doesn't preclude affordable versus market. It's just a generic housing discussion.
Okay. Thanks.
Any other questions?
Yes, I do have a few questions, particularly as it relates to increment area H. I know maybe about a year ago, a little less than a year ago, we had a community meeting. We met with a group of stakeholders a little more specifically that had expressed some additional interest. And correct me if I'm wrong, because I might be missing it sort of in all of the paperwork, but I'm not seeing some of the things that they had requested and some of the things that I had sent around maybe some more intentional, specific like budget line items or sort of like the programs I sent from like Rockford, Illinois, and some of those TIF projects where we could really hone in on some of the commercial corridor development and particularly like really kind of target supporting small scale, small incremental development, especially as it relates, the concerns that I heard were fear of displacement, a lot of folks that if they don't have like the biggest scale project that they can't quite really compete for some of these dollars, especially folks that maybe haven't have owned their building for a long time or leased a space in a building for a long time but don't have all of the sort of experience to navigate things like this. So I just, like I said, correct me if I'm wrong if I'm missing it, but I'm a little hesitant to support moving this forward, especially because I was under the impression that before this even got on an agenda, we were going to meet with that smaller group of, especially like 25th Street stakeholders before we got to this step.
Yeah, I think we tried to take that, and that was part of, it's really on page 5 of the project plan under H, 4H under the objectives. That's where we tried to kind of put a generic catch-all, I guess, that would catch some of what we heard from those groups about activation of underutilized parcels within commercial districts. That was really where we were headed with that. And then on the budget line, the assistance to development financing is kind of the term of art in the TIF world that's used to generically capture all those sorts of projects. If there's something we need to come back and, tweak some language or add something specific, we're always happy to do that as well. I think a lot of what we heard from the folks about, could we potentially use it for different, facade improvement programs, other things like that. We think that it would fit in within this language. I don't know if there was just a specific call out on those, but I think we were trying to take the other approach of being more generic to capture all of the concerns.
Yeah, I hear that and I appreciate that. I think where my concern is if we aren't specific enough, it kind of gets lost in the sauce, if that makes sense. Like, it's like, oh, I don't really, like, this is very high, like 30,000 foot view language, and without more specifics that people can really kind of sink their teeth into, I would look at that and be like, well, that's a nice idea, but what does it mean? So I think I would be very interested in seeing if we can defer this and meet with that group again and present some of this, or even if it's doing some email back and forth with some of those folks. I'd like to make sure that this is on their radar. And I think in particular, some of those things that I sent along that I never really received like a affirmative, like, yes, we could include that, or no, we're kind of precluded based on our laws from doing that. I'd like to hear some follow-up on that, because I think specifically being able to have something a little more, like I said, kind of tangible that folks could see and say like, okay, this they did respond to our concerns, I think would make me feel more positive about being able to support moving forward.
Sure. Time-wise, I think really the main reason we were trying to get this moved forward was just there's some other projects and things in the pipeline and some of the things around the arenas and things like that. But we could, I suppose, have some discussion and is this something we could bring an amendment?
We could bring back an amendment.
Yeah. Could we pass it today and have an amendment?
Because this just sets the final hearing for the 7th, and we're happy to do so. And also, this doesn't preclude us from amending in the future, and I'm happy to do so. I mean, a lot of this was, to your point, us trying to deal with some of our friends down there, trying to think about how we can get creative about helping the Capitol Hill area redevelop better. So if we miss the mark on something, happy to go back and try to, if there's something we want to specifically call out.
Okay. Yeah, I guess I'm fine voting for the introduction. I think, unfortunately, I will be out of town next week, so I won't have time to meet before the, I think my worry about just passing it as it is, as I've experienced with even just sending along thoughts, like I worry that the amendment is sort of, again, kind of gets lost in the priorities of the urgency of wanting to make sure, again, that we're, in passing this, we're not just prioritizing north side development, but some of the concerns that we heard in an area that I think deserves just as much prioritization. So like I said, I'm open to voting for the introduction today and maybe having some email back and forth and seeing how we can talk about what the 7th looks like.
Absolutely, yeah,
recognizing that-
we'll put that at the top of the list, because I certainly was not our intent to do so. We were
Okay.
trying to be responsive and, to your point, had quite a few meetings with folks in that area and have got a lot of back and forth, so.
Yeah, I don't want them to be caught off guard that like, oh, they just passed it and we never heard from them kind of is my concern. So I just want to make sure that we're being collaborative in that way. So,
Yeah, we will get right on that and try to get meetings scheduled as soon as possible to follow up on that.
So this would come back for a vote on which date? The 7th.
April 7th.
So even though Councilor Hammond wouldn't be here over the next couple weeks before, can we, heading into that vote, have a committed date for when we would be sitting down with those stakeholders?
Oh,
Do you
yeah,
see what I mean?
absolutely, yeah.
I think that'd be good. I'm already seeing Councilor Stonecipher nodding his head too. That makes sense to me. And then I'm curious, Councilor Hammond, some of those items in terms of the activation of some of those more incremental missing middle sort of stuff. I know you'll be gone, and I hope I'm not stepping on any toes, but in the next couple weeks, I would love to sit, if you can forward some of that to me. I'm guessing probably Councilor Pennington and Stone would be interested in that sort of stuff too, but I'd love to learn a little bit more about what other communities have done to be very intentional in that activation, and heading into that April 7th meeting, be able to like speak that into existence with an amendment, so.
Yeah, I think a lot of the things we heard were things that, there's probably a few ideas we need to vet and make sure legally they can be done, but there were things that I think were just smaller scale things that would be permitted, but to Councilwoman's point, if it's something we need to call out specifically or just really signal or indicate, because we have been having discussions probably for more than a year with folks down there, so we want to make sure we don't miss the mark on that.
I can forward that today, and then I'm happy to have other folks meet when maybe if next week you all are available, and just kind of get an update. But I would really like to see that we have a conversation with some of those stakeholders that we met with. I think that was in it was cold, like it was November or something, October, November. So, thank you.
Happy to do so. Yep.
Okay, so if there's no other questions, I guess we're done with the consent docket and we can adopt it in its entirety. We have a motion and a second. Cast your votes. Passes unanimously. All right, next up is item 10, the concurrence docket. We have items A through K we can take with one motion. We have a motion and a second. Cast your votes. Passes unanimously. All right, item 11, items for individual consideration. Item 11A was previously deferred. Item 11B was previously deferred, which brings us to item 11C, which is an ordinance on final hearing that was recommended for approval, rezoning 9700 DeVore Drive from R1 and AE2 to PUD 2126 and AE2. Councilman Carter, no one assigned to speak.
Okay, well then, subject to the technical evaluations, I'll move for approval.
Got a motion and a second. Cast your votes. Passes unanimously. Item 11D is an ordinance on final hearing. It was recommended for approval, rezoning 1140 Southwest 149th from AA to PUD 2127. Councilman Hinkle, no one assigned to speak.
Great project on 149th and Western, and I move for approval.
We have a motion and a second. Cast your votes. Passes unanimously. Item 11E is an ordinance on final hearing. It was recommended for approval, closing the unimproved street rights-of-way of LeCue, platted Harris, between Northeast 59th and 62nd, and a portion of Northeast 62nd within the school addition to Green Pastures. Councilman Pennington, no one has signed up to speak.
Thank you, Mayor. We're just closing the street for future development, and I'm going to move approval.
We have a motion and a second. Cast your votes. Passes unanimously. Okay, so items 11F through K are all bond sales. Is that the right word?
Yes.
Yeah. And council members may recall this process. This is actually happening as we speak and is not quite finished yet. And so we will return to these items after other business as soon as everyone is ready, which means we will advance to 11L. 11L1 is a public hearing regarding the refunding of certain outstanding portions of the city's GO Bond Series 2014 in the original principal amount of $92,185,000, et cetera. Amy, has anyone signed up to speak?
No, they haven't.
They have not. So we could look at the resolution L2, and there's a presentation.
Yes. Angela Pierce, our finance director, will give us a quick update on this refunding of two different series of GO bonds for the city of Oklahoma City.
Yes, good morning. Angela Pierce, finance director. So this is one of the exciting agenda items that I have for today. And so this is a good story to tell. So this is a refunding of your 2014 and 2018 general obligation bonds. Just to remind you, a refunding is like refinancing your home mortgage when the market moves to a better interest rate environment. So the agenda item today approves the sale. We will be monitoring market conditions as we move forward, and we are currently projected to have about $6 million in savings, or 6.75%. So it's good news.
Good work by the team. Yeah,
Yes, thank
great
you.
opportunity. Thanks, Angela.
Well, if there are no questions or comments, we could take up the resolution found at 11L2. And I'm told we only need one vote, but to incur indebtedness, we'll need 6 affirmative votes, and to waive competitive bidding, we'll need 7. But all of this can be attained in this one vote. We have a motion and a second. Please cast your votes. Passes unanimously and with the necessary 6 and 7 affirmative votes to incur indebtedness and waive competitive bidding, respectively. Okay, item M is an ordinance on final hearing diminishing the corporate limits of the city of Oklahoma City. It relates to item N, which is N2, extending an ordinance extending the corporate limits of the city of Oklahoma City. This is a previously described arrangement that we are engaged in with the city of Yukon. And though there has already been a presentation, and this is the second of 2 meetings where we are considering this, there is a little bit of a presentation on the amendment to found at N1. And maybe we want to handle that perhaps before we vote on it.
Sure.
Yes, the amendment on N1, it's basically corrects a Scrivener's error and also a misstatement was in the ordinance as introduced. So if you just approve that amendment, it'll make those corrections.
Okay. I guess we'll take things in order, but I want everybody to know, because that all relates to each other, that that was there. But we'll really probably start with M, the ordinance on final hearing diminishing the corporate limits of the city of Oklahoma City. We have a motion and a second. Cast your votes. Passes 8-1. You don't want to shrink the city either? Sorry, I don't want to go to this road. I'm just teasing you. All right.
It's a John Kerry moment. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm diminishing so I can add, sort of thing. And I just don't support the whole thing, so I'm just not here.
I understand. All right.
That's
I thought we'd get you on that one. That's all. All right. N1 is the amendment as previously described. We have a motion and a second. Cast your votes. Passes 8-1. And now we are at N2. This is the ordinance on final hearing extending the corporate limits of the city of Oklahoma City as per this complicated arrangement that has been presented to us. We have a motion and a second. Cast your votes. Passes 8-1. All right, 1101 is the public hearing regarding the dilapidated structures here listed. Amy, has anyone signed up to speak?
No, they haven't.
They have not, so we'll advance to the resolution found at 02 declaring the structures are dilapidated. We have a motion and a second. Cast your votes. Passes unanimously. 11P is the public hearing regarding the unsecured structures here listed. Amy, has anyone signed up to speak?
No, they haven't.
They have not, so we'll advance to the resolution found at P2 declaring the structures are unsecured. We have a motion and a second. Cast your votes. Passes unanimously. Q1 is a resolution authorizing the municipal council to confess judgment without amending liability in the case of Cook v. City of OKC. Executive session is not requested. We have a motion and a second. Cast your votes. Passes unanimously. R1 is a resolution authorizing the firm Collins, Zorn, and Wagner to represent city employees James Runner and William Nance in the case of Ryan v. Runner, et cetera. Executive session is not requested. We have a motion and a second. Cast your votes. Passes 7-1. Item S1 is a claim recommended for denial, S1A. Executive session is not requested. We have a motion and a second. Cast your votes. Passes unanimously. Item 12, comments from council. Ward 1, Ward 3, Ward 4, Ward 5, Ward 6, Ward 7, Ward 8.
Time Magazine, the newest edition, March 23, 2026, has the list of the world's greatest places, the most exciting destinations to visit right now. And hats off to the Chickasaw Nation for Ocana Water Park being listed as one of the 100 coolest places to go in the world. Congratulations.
All right, thank you. That brings us to citizens to be heard. Amy Martin. And for everybody, I would say please state your name and address and limit your remarks to 3 minutes or less.
Hi, my name's Amy Martin. I reside at 3300 South Eagle Lane. Members of the council. Nearly 2 years ago, when PUD 2029 was introduced, we were told by Barbara Peck that these apartments were going to be built regardless. We were told to engage in the process to shape an outcome that we could live with, and we did. We showed up, we participated in good faith and with honesty and integrity. We made concessions and invested significant time and effort to reach a balanced agreement, something we could live next to for years to come. What we agreed to is clearly documented in Exhibit D. It required full screening with trees along the property line to provide a sound barrier, a visual buffer, and natural drainage mitigation. This was critical given that the 26 acres of farmland absorbed nearly all of the rainfall. Now runoff, including pollutants and red clay sediment, is being directly drained into our private lake. This is a foreseeable and preventable impact. This agreement has not been honored. The final approved plans excluded Exhibit D, and the city approved those plans. As a result, a key agreed upon protection that was in writing is now missing. We have been informed that the city does not have a formal process to ensure compliance with approved PUDs. This is a serious breakdown in oversight. Without enforcement, the PUD process loses its meaning, and these agreements made with residents, such as ourselves, cannot be relied upon. We have been seeking a resolution since August with the assistance of Councilwoman Avers. It's now March, and during that time, construction on this project has continued while residents have taken time off work, used personal leave, and made repeated efforts to resolve an issue that should never have existed in the first place. Meanwhile, the developer has received low-interest loans, bonds, tax credits. The city has gained the widening of 29th Street with the signalized intersection and low-income housing. The residents most directly impacted have not even received what was promised. Everyone else has gained from this PUD except for those of us living next door to it. At no time was a pond in the green space or drainage into our private lake ever discussed. There is a practical solution. We ask that you redirect the drainage down towards 29th Street.
30 seconds remaining.
Where the road widening will include proper drainage for both apartments and our lake. We must address the proposed resolution from the developer's attorney. It does not reflect the original agreement and does not demonstrate a good faith effort to comply. It raises serious concerns about the willingness to honor the commitments that were made to our neighborhood. So the question is simple. What is the value of the PUD and the negotiations if the terms are not enforced? This is no longer a matter of negotiation. This becomes a matter of accountability. We're asking for specific action. Enforce Exhibit D as approved. Give us the full screening that our neighborhood and community was promised. Redirect the drainage away from our lake down to 29th Street. This issue is fully solvable. Choosing not to act on this puts our property, our environment, and our public trust at risk. We are asking the city to enforce the developers to uphold their agreement and for the city to enforce its own standards. Thank you. And here is a copy of Exhibit D. Katrina, may I? And even from there, I'll send it around. These are the trees we were promised. No matter how good your eyesight is, they're thick, they're dense, all the way around. And this is the number of trees. Now we're looking at concrete, cement, ugly that we do not agree to, and drainage into our lake.
Thank you. Scott Eagleston?
I've got some pictures that you can follow along with my speech up to sure I wasn't able to print out enough for everyone. So, we made some good faith compromises to support this PUD. The green space design was approved by the City Council. At no point during our 3 months of negotiations with the developer was any detention pond ever discussed. The heart of the issue is that the developer didn't include our famed Exhibit D with their specific plan at the final council approval. When we discovered a detention pond draining into our private lake back in September was being dug, we notified the city and all construction was placed on hold. You can see that from photo 1. But in photo 2 and 3, you can see that construction continued, even though it was all placed on hold. At our meeting with the city on November 21st, the neighbors compromised again. We agreed the detention pond could remain, but the runoff needed to be diverted to the new storm drains that were going to be installed on the 29th Street improvements. And you can see that in the next photo. The assistant city engineer acknowledged this is possible. But he said, and I quote, "I am not, from an engineering standpoint, when I'm reviewing their plans, I am not going to tell them to divert water into another drainage basin that starts getting me and them crossways." Not that it can't be done, it's that he won't require it. That's not oversight. That's a failure to enforce an improved plan. On that exact day of our meeting with the city, you can see on the next photo, without any revisions, construction was allowed to continue. All right, in the next photo, we've been told that the natural drainage shouldn't be altered, that the lake has historically discharged onto this property. But now a spillway has been constructed that prevents the lake from draining as it historically has. So clearly, these requirements are not being applied equally here. In the next photo, thank you to our Ward 90 representative, Emily Geis. We learned the developer is benefiting from tens of millions of dollars in public funding while failing to follow the plan that was approved. In the next photo, we've been requesting for months for a chance to have a meaningful discussion with the developer. They have no interest in doing so.
Thirty seconds
You can
remaining.
see from this photo that the latest solution that they proposed was to beautify the spillway and then put 2 trees within the 30-foot easement that they are not allowed to use. Now, Councilwoman Avers has encouraged us to be solution-focused, and it's simple. They need to narrow and elongate the detention pond to preserve the original depth, all right, and tree count on all sides of the property. We need 100% site screening, and we need to divert the runoff stormwater to the new storm system on 29th Street. The developer's engineers clearly don't have the talent or vision to design this green space within the guidelines of the PUD. Now, seeing as it was the neighbors that paid for the original green space design out of our hard-earned money, you can imagine we're going to be hesitant to, pay for an engineer to design something that they clearly don't have the vision for.
Thank you, Mr. Eagleson.
We're not going to do their job for them again.
Thank you. You're
We've
over time,
upheld our
Mr.
end. Will
Mr.
you
Eagleson,
please hold the developer up to their end?
Mr. Eagleston, thank you.
And let's not forget, if it weren't for the neighbors,
Eagleston,
it's
we'll
the
need to
city
wrap it up.
that would be on the hook for the $10 to $12 million for improvements on Southwest 29th Street.
Thank you. Gary Coford?
Gary Cofed, 8425 Southwest 35th Street. So actually what our team here is to do today is we're just trying to get some management and encouragement, see if we can get this situation resolved. Our team's here because the developer is not complying with certain provisions required by the PUD. As denoted in the construction hold dated 10/13, the developer and the city erred by not taking into consideration a city-owned utility street easement on the eastern side of the property along Eagle Lane. At the request of the city, our team was to met with several city employees the week before Thanksgiving to discuss the implications in order to come up to a resolution. We've requested follow-up meetings with no response. The city has allowed the construction to continue with a concrete structure on or near the east property boundary line, which conflicts with the PUD because it will not allow for the required landscape requirements to be installed. At the city management, now the city management has punted this back to us, our neighborhood group, to renegotiate and negotiate with the developer on our time and at our expense. Just a quick clear up, PUD 2029 is a large-scale development complex pushed up against a long-established residential area surrounded by a small lake. We're located just west of Council off Southwest 29. The homes are built on about 2-acre lots. My wife has lived there since 1982, so she's a long-time resident. At the strong suggestion of the Planning Commission and our City Council rep, the negotiating team, the neighborhood was tasked with negotiating the final PUD with the developer. We were backed into paying legal counsel at our cost, which came at a significant cost. Keep in mind, we are working for the city's benefit as well as our neighborhood benefit. The process worked pretty decent with some good outcomes, at least on paper. The developer will provide for the funding and construction to widen Southwest 29th to 4 lanes from just west of Council to County Line Road, which includes dedicated left turn lanes and all approaches to Southwest 29th and County Line Road, as well as signalization. For our neighborhood, on the east side of the development,
30 seconds remaining.
A minimum of 20-foot landscape buffer along the full length of the property with extensive plantings in various heights and species to provide pull opacity at the property line. This is all on the exhibits of the contract, and they look to be enforceable. Our goal was to protect our environment, protect our lake, and it looks like we were trying to get that, but we need management approval, your management, to help push this along and let's get it settled. Thanks.
Thank you. James Legally?
How's everyone doing today?
Great.
My name is James Legale, 3000 South Eagle Lane. I'm staring at this thing. Now, my neighbors have already brought up kind of the drainage and the viewpoints, but I want to ask you, you're all pretty successful in your personal lives, in business, be that owning and operating a business or just being at levels that you're affecting it. When you make a deal and you don't follow through, what happens to the business? Eventually your customers disappear. They don't want to do anything to do with you. It's not worth negotiating with you because like you're not going to hold up your side. So I question if this is our experience, how many other times through the city have residents come up in a good faith negotiation just to be pummeled on the backside? Will that actually make the city better long term? Are we actually going to have residents come up and genuinely want to make things better if they know they're just not going to get anywhere? This is an opportunity for the city to stand up. One thing that my neighbors didn't bring up is the setback for the fence. The intent was we'd have 100 feet of trees and grass between the boundary line and non-residential buildings and 200 feet from the boundary line to residential buildings. But the PUD actually says 135 and 260. You want a point on paper we can push that. The easement, 30 feet. I stood at this podium and I said, hey guys, the boundary lines, the county assessor says one thing, the boundary pins say one thing, the developer says another. What's going on with this? And I was dismissed. Then I bring it up directly after the city approves the final plans, and I was dismissed again. Finally, I get, there is an easement here. We have 30 feet. The easement states that it can be used for roads, road maintenance, utilities, and no other purpose whatsoever. But we're using it for a setback? Maybe I don't understand what no other purpose whatsoever stands for. You can see I'm frustrated, and I need your help. Please.
Thank you. I don't know, is there anything you want to say, Mr. Stevens?
Yeah, we've got one of our assistant city managers, our development services director, is glad to meet with the residents that are here, and they'll be glad to meet with you after the meeting.
All right. Well, it looks like our financial team has entered the room, which makes me think that right on time they have completed the bond sale, and we can discuss the items that we skipped over earlier, which would be 11F through K.
All right. Hello, Angela Pierce, Finance Director. Before I dive into the exciting news, I'd just like to take a moment to thank our financing team. We have John Michael Williams and Nate Ellis here today, as well as Mike Baskin, our debt manager, and Nagesh Chopra. And we also have our friends at PFM, our advisors as well. So I have to read a script, so I apologize in advance for this. But on item F, as authorized by the resolution adopted on February 10th, 2026, we received 5 electronic bids this morning at 8:45 a.m. for the purchase of our $25 million general obligation limited tax bonds, taxable series 2026. The lowest qualified bid we received was from Wells Fargo Bank, N.A., whose true interest cost came in at 5.098721%. Staff recommends the $25 million general obligation limited tax bonds, taxable series 2026 be sold to Wells Fargo Bank, N.A. at a true interest cost of 5.098721%. And I just was going to add a little bit of context. Our second lowest bid came in at 5.1184. So noticeable difference between those two.
Sure.
Do you want to go? Okay.
We can do that.
All right. So that means we needed to take F and then G, and then you'll tell us about the next
That's
pair?
correct.
Okay,
Yes,
got
please.
it. All right, so are there any questions or comments? All right, then we've got item 11F first. All right, we have a motion and a second. Cast your votes. Passes unanimously. And then we have item 11G, and I'm also told we will want the emergency on this.
Yes.
But that'll be a separate vote. So first up, just the simple passage of 11G. We have a motion and a second. Cast your votes. Passes unanimously, and now, if the council is so inclined, an emergency vote on 11G. Have a motion and a second. Cast your votes. Passes unanimously and with the necessary supermajority for the emergency. Now, back to you for items H and I.
Yes, thank you. So as authorized by the resolution adopted on February 10th, 2026, we received 4 electronic bids this morning at 8:30 a.m. for the purchase of our $80 million general obligation bonds taxable series 2026. The lowest qualified bid was received by JP Morgan Securities, LLC, who bid a true interest cost of 5.034684%. Staff recommends that the $80 million General Obligation Bond Taxable Series 2026 be sold to JP Morgan Securities, LLC at that true interest cost of 5.034684%. And similarly to the last item, our second lowest bid came in at 5.077532. So again, a noticeable difference between those top two.
Okay. If there are no comments or questions, we could take up item 11H. We have a motion and a second. Cast your votes. Passes unanimously. And then 11I, the ordinance related to this $80 million bond sale. We have a motion and a second. Cast your votes when you have that chance.
Mayor, can I say something real quick?
Passes unanimously. We're going to vote on the emergency. Do you want to say it after that? Or?
Sure.
Okay. And then we've got the emergency on item 11I. Motion and a second. Cast your votes. Passes unanimously and with the necessary supermajority for the emergency. Councilman Carter.
It appeared that we kind of skipped over what the residents had just said to handle this real quick, and I wanted to make sure you didn't feel dismissed. We actually have our attorneys in the hall waiting to speak with you right now if you'd like to go out there and meet with them. Yes.
Yeah, you don't have to sit through this. Thank you, Councilman Carter. Okay, so now items J and K.
All right, so this is the most exciting one. This is our largest one here today. And so as authorized by the resolution adopted on February 10th, 2026, we received 10 electronic bids this morning at 8:15 a.m. for the purchase of $135 million General Obligation Bonds Series 2026. The lowest qualified bid was received by JP Morgan Securities, LLC, whose true interest cost came in at only 3.838530. Staff recommends the $135 million General Obligation Bond Series 2026 be sold to JP Morgan Securities, LLC at the true interest cost of 3.838530. And again, for comparison, the second lowest bid that we received this year was 3.853546. So that's a really tight margin on this one, very competitive sale. And it also came in just a little bit under 2025's tax exempt series. So we're excited for that.
Okay, any comments or questions on that? I think I would say just before we conclude all this, this is all very dry and technical as it would be by nature, but I certainly want to make sure anybody who's catching this discussion understands, none of this is possible, obviously, without the vision that this council and the city management team cast over the last few years to invest in our infrastructure. These very technical discussions and very complicated actions make it possible for us to resurface streets and build fire stations and do all these things that invest in our community. So it's very exciting, ultimately, the outcome of all of this, even though this would put any normal person to sleep probably. And we're so grateful to all of you that you do this work. And also, when we brag on our bond ratings, which again probably goes over people's heads to some extent, and it may seem like we're just talking about what a nice compliment that is to the management and the fiscal management of the city. It also has a real world impact on allowing our dollars to go farther.
Absolutely.
Because we're paying less to, no offense to them, JP Morgan and Wells Fargo, and more goes into the projects, right? And so those bond ratings, this is the day when those bond ratings really have financial impact that benefits the people of Oklahoma City. So kudos to everybody that also does such a great job in that work and make sure that we benefit from that. Finally, we have now items J and K. We could take a motion on item J if there's no other comments or questions. We have a motion and a second. Cast your votes. Passes unanimously. And then item K, this is the ordinance relative to the $135 million bond sale. We have a motion and a second. Cast your votes. Passes unanimously, and then we need the emergency on this as well. We have a motion and a second. Cast your votes. Passes unanimously and with the necessary supermajority for the emergency. Thank you all so much. We all know how much work goes into this, so congratulations. Thank you so much. Unusually, that's how we're going to conclude the meeting because we've done everything else, including citizens to be heard, and so that means we are back on the agenda, which is item 14, adjournment, and we are adjourned.